check YouTube to see if it's getting it.
Sometimes it gets it and still puts it up in 2 parts.
Yeah, it depends. I'm checking the audio now.
Yeah. Sure, there's been a lot of puts it up in 2 parts.
All right, wait, hold on. I'm checking the audio now. All right, we're good.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Greed Factory.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes the candles who light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
And this is Conlon.
We're coming to you tonight in the midst of coronavirus. It's going to become the new ruling party of America. This has been something that's been developing for a while. It hasn't even reached its apex yet.
Well, at least not in America.
At least not in America.
Because I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how China's on the other end of this. Like, they've only had 10 new reported cases in, like, the past 3 months. Or in the past week.
Oh, okay. Yep, so they're basically shutting everything down here. My son's not going to school for the next 4 weeks. So that's interesting.
Yeah, aren't they just calling it like a spring break, an extended spring break?
No, well, I mean, they're just saying they're doing it because of coronavirus. But yeah, that's.
Well, I think like spring break is like on its way, and they're like, well, I guess we'll start it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that could very well be what's going on. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of businesses, a lot of small businesses have just closed.
Yeah.
My model store, they put out a thing. I stopped in there Thursday after work, so there was 2 little bottles of paint I had to get for this tank, and I'm glad I did, because come Friday they're like, yeah, we're closed. Open again until, but they have to do that to watch their health, because they have underlying health conditions, and we can't afford to get sick. So.
Yeah.
And everyone was, I think, pretty supportive. I didn't see anyone on, the Facebook like, fuck you. I don't care if you die.
I can't get toilet paper and my Tamiya paints. Fuck the world.
But yeah, so there's been a few things here. I don't know what's going to happen with my work. I've heard different rumors, but nobody knows. I mean, that's.
Are you guys even like that close proximity there?
Well, no, that's the thing. Like where I'm at, everyone's like 3 meters apart because it's mostly automated, and then there's a guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, well, 3 meters. Well, it's roughly 12, 15 feet apart. And then I'm driving around on a forklift, so I'm never near anyone. Really. And, but we do have to take buses into the plant, which I've started walking in. It takes me 20 minutes, but it's like, yeah, I'm just walking in. Because it's weird when I walk in and I come in and everything's a fucking mess. So everything's going to be a fucking mess by default. But when I have that 20-minute walk under my belt, I'm more relaxed about it. I'm like, cool. I don't have a forklift, do I? No, it's in the shop. We got to get you one. Great. Let's go get one. So I'll come back and just set things up one at a time. Even if the line's down, it's like, hey, the line's down. It's like, yeah, I didn't have a forklift. I'm nice and mellow about it. When I take the bus in, because I get anxious when I'm around more than 2 people. I'm agitated. Like, we gotta get this going. So yeah, I'm finding I actually like the walk better. And and those buses just reek of it's like they soaked them in Lysol. Like when I sat down in it once, the seat was damp. like, ooh, and then my skin was itchy all day on my ass and back. It's like, oh, that's nice. This is pleasant. But I mean, there's a few things that'll dictate a shutdown of an auto plant: lack of parts, lack of sales. So far, we haven't heard of a parts stream interruption. Sales are strong, of course. So I think some people are like, fuck it, I'm going to go get that nice vehicle because I might die and I don't want to worry about it. So I don't know how permanent that is. The empty grocery stores, that is indeed a fact here. They are empty. I mean, did you get my picture?
Yeah.
How I stocked up. So yeah, I went to Sam's Club and bought 4 gallons of vodka. So I should be good to go. That's mainly for trade and medicinal purposes. Worst possible events. And then, like, we went to different stores and we've got things, but we've got a bunch of like off-brand weird shit now, like bread we don't normally eat. It's like, fuck it, that's all that's left. Get it. It's coffee creamer I don't normally use. It's like, well, I gotta have that. But we're not like spending excessive amounts of money either. We're just getting what we need. Because of course, fun person that I am, I went downstairs, got all the guns out, cleaned them up, started counting bullets, and I'm like, well, if it comes to a shotgun war, I've got over 1,000 guns. Got 12 double-aught buck shotguns, so we're good. And like I said, I always have a bunch of water in the house because Dad got me one of those water bubblers.
Yeah.
So a couple of those, and we've got bottled water. We got stuff left from football like Gatorade and shit like that.
I don't necessarily get the water thing because it's not like can't like get into the water supply unless we just like don't have people that work for the water purification plant anymore.
That's kind of what I was telling Stacy about the water is like we can boil the water out of the sink. I mean, unless we lose like water and gas and sewage, but then that's like a whole different thing, and that's not happened anywhere in the world yet. So, yeah, I don't understand the people that like, and weirdly enough, like my profit sharing, all my tax returns and other monies I always get at this time of year from different investments and things. All those checks showed up in the mail at once. On Thursday, I was like, okay, we're set for a while. If they write us off work and stuff, it's like we can pay our mortgage for a couple months off this.
Didn't they? Oh wait, no, that might be in Italy. There was a news story about they just like suspended mortgage payments for like a couple of months.
Oh yeah, it might come down to that. I don't know.
But I think that was Italy, not America.
Yeah, Italy, you've got like the 15%, 20-year fixed loans and shit like that. I don't know. Like I said, they'll suspend all that stuff because it doesn't do any good to like initiate procedures if your country's shut down. So I'm not really worried. I mean, I don't want to get sick and die.
Yeah.
Not the healthiest guy in the world. So I'm not that, but I'm not like just like bathing myself in bleach, and I'm not, Grayson goes and sees his friends, and we go out, now I mainly go to like drive-throughs that I like now and eat in the car, restaurant with people, but
Yeah, I've been going well, actually, like, this might work against me, but I've been like not going to the break room for lunch.
yeah.
So what I've been doing, well, now they're authorizing overtime, so I like just take like a 30-minute lunch and just go back to work.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much shit to do. By the way, our store isn't like cleaned out. Now, do we have toilet paper? No.
Yeah.
Do we have? No, we absolutely have not sold the proportional amount of food for the amount of shitting people have prepared themselves to do.
Oh, so the take to output ratio is really out of whack. Yeah.
But there's like I ran, and like, so like our pizza section, like the largest part of it is Jack's Pizza. We're completely sold out. Now you can get any DiGiorno's pizza you want.
Oh, okay.
But a DiGiorno's pizza is $5. A Jack's pizza is $2.50.
Okay.
So it's just all our cheap pizzas are gone. So our Totinos were gone and our Jacks were gone. And like, oh my God, there's no pizza. And I'm like, there's that $7 lots of matzo pizza. We have every brand of it.
Yeah. That was all the all the high dollar frozen pizza you want. Now I'm trying to think of what I saw, because Grayson Works, they were literally cleaned out like to the rafters.
Yeah.
Like there's no pasta, there's no bread, there's no
Yeah,
toilet,
yeah.
there's no water, there's no milk.
Well, the amount of bread we actually have, like, our bread vendors have been coming in like 3 times a day. So we've actually had bread. We get cleaned out at the same rate we always do, but now we just have it coming in more often. But we're always out of bread by like 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
But now we're out of the Sara Lee bread, and weirdly enough, the other brand, the cheap brand, has been sending people in more often. And the cheap brand's there, and the Sara Lee's not, and then people are losing their minds again. It's like, oh my God, there's no way. I just want the cheap brand.
Yeah.
Well, we did sell out of one thing of Ezekiel bread, which that's a bread that you can find in the freezer section, because it's made out of like leaven bread or some shit like that. So I don't think it's gluten free, because we had like the Udi's gluten free bread that needs to be frozen, but this is just
It's unleavened bread. It sounds like.
yeah, but it looks like normal bread.
Yeah, it just doesn't use yeast. Yeah, like you can still get gasoline here. As a matter of fact, it's cheaper than I've seen it in years.
Oh yeah, because that thing happened.
Yeah, Russia versus OPEC.
Yeah.
So that's really cheap. You can get anything you want. We haven't had power outages. We haven't, because people are acting like it's like the fucking grid's gonna go down or something. It's like, no, you just can't be out in groups of people hanging out because most of you won't die. But the proportion of people that will have to go to the hospital for respiratory failure is really high. So we can't have them all getting sick at once.
Yeah. Well, also, I think the cynical ways, think about like, somebody eventually like told somebody, is like, oh, like 20% of your voter base is going to die.
Yeah. Well, and then people talk like me and Grayson are listening. Grayson listens to NPR a lot now, because now we have 4 stations with all different shows on them around here. We used to have 2, but they reactivated some or something. And we were listening to these people talking about coping with self-quarantine and self-isolation, and I'm like, shit, I've been ready for I
don't have to change a fucking thing.
Yeah, my life is not gonna change much, other than I drink other brands of milk and eat kind of weird food because it's all I can find. But other than that, like, yeah, I'm okay, cool. I have to isolate myself. All right.
Social distancing. You mean my modus operandi?
You mean the air that I breathe, the being that I am?
It does suck not touching your face all day. I find out, like, especially when I have glasses and I have to like do this thing like with like the part of my arm. But as soon as I wash my hands and get home, it's like I rub my eyes, itch my nose.
I wear big gloves at work, and I always have, so I don't really touch my face a lot. Like I said, my work's like no problem. Now, if I was at the truck plant where you're building trucks, those guys are right on top of each other. That would be my plant in particular, I don't see big. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand pathology, but I don't see a problem.
But yeah, and the other phrase I heard was it's a novel virus, which it's like hasn't been. It's a new virus that hasn't been encountered by humans before, which what makes it so potentially dangerous.
Yeah, that was its real name, was novel corona COVID-18 or something like that's its real name.
Is it 18 or 19?
Maybe it's 19.
I thought it was COVID-19, because I was thinking like it'd be close enough to like 20. If it was 20, that makes sense because it's 2020. But I guess technically it started back in December in China, right? So.
Yeah, I don't know. And some people are thinking it happened even earlier. Some people are thinking it was here before. It's pretty much the same thing, but it wasn't as transmittable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, like Giant Bomb they now all work from home now.
Yeah.
They don't go to they don't go to the studio anymore, so they just do home streaming and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, one of the podcasts they were talking about it, they were just calling it the virus. So I wonder if that's going to just be the name. The cynical ones I've heard is also boomer flu.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I heard that. That's all these jerks that think like their parents are gonna die or their grandparents and they're gonna make the world great. It's like, yeah, you'd be the first fucking generation, but good luck, kids.
And then wrestling has all been shut down.
Yeah.
Except for WrestleMania. That's still a go. In 3 weeks. They still... Well, there's also a weird thing with... I think with them...
Like without a crowd, or is that with a crowd?
With a crowd.
Oh, okay.
They just haven't canceled it yet. I think they're waiting... So I think there's some official stuff with, like, if you have event insurance, like, you have to wait for, like they're waiting for the government officials there's a...
State emergency.
Yeah, so then, like, you know, it kicks in the event insurance stuff, and then it's like, okay. But the thing with event insurance, because, like, also, it's a lot of, because I was going to take that week off and, like, watch all the indie shows. Now those are all canceled. And, like, for some of those indies, like, that was how they make money each year. Like, they're, like, it's like a losing profit the whole year until it comes to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So now that's gone. And there was a guy talking about his event insurance, and he's like, yeah, they'll cover loss of venue, but they're not going to, like buy, if you had a sold out show, they're not going to, like, purchase the sold out show from you. You still have to, like, return your tickets, and they'll just cover loss of venue.
Yeah, they're gonna cover what it costs you to rent the place.
Yeah.
They're not gonna like give you, you know, well, you sold $20 million worth of tickets, so here's $20 million. They might pay the performers a certain amount. I don't even know. So
Yeah.
No idea.
But yeah, so they're just waiting to see, like, you know, what side of the you know, the exponential curve we're gonna be on by that time. So
Yeah. Like Grayson, we were supposed to go over to the college today and get all his classes set up and everything. That's been like kicked off till the middle of the week now.
yeah, it seemed like kind of NBA really started the ball rolling where they're I guess yeah, sure, that works. Whatever. That'd be more bowling, but there's a ball, it rolls. Where they just canceled the whole season. Well, I guess it's postponed technically, but it might as well just be canceled.
So many of their players were tested positive.
Well, yeah, the Utah player, the center, tested positive, and then there's video of him, like, joking around when he was like, he was just touching all the microphone and everything, like, joking around, and it's like, oh, you have the virus. Like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, isn't he the one who's given $500,000 or something because he felt bad?
I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if that's him. I know there's his name's Zion. I think he plays for the New Orleans Pelicans.
Okay.
And I think he's putting up money to cover all the costs for the people that would be working the stadium.
Oh, that's nice.
So he's, like, covering them for, like, a month, which, you know, is like $300,000 or $500,000.
That's still good of him.
Yeah.
Cool name. You got to live up to that. Name's Zion. You better be doing something.
And then, yeah, then the NHL season, they canceled their stuff. The March Madness was going to go on, and NCAA, it was at first like they're just going to do empty arena shows, and then they just canceled all sports.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of this is covering your ass, too.
Yeah.
I get that vibe. We don't want to get sued.
And then WWE had to cancel a bunch of their shows, but now they're last week they set up so Full Sail University is usually where NXT runs out their shows.
Yeah.
That Full Sail closed down, so then they built up their performance center, which is like their awesome thing where it has, like, you know, 3 rings set up and it has this huge gym and all that stuff. So they set it up for a television show, which they do that occasionally. And then they had NXT there, and then SmackDown got canceled, so they moved SmackDown to the Performance Center in in Orlando. I think it's in Orlando. It's in Florida.
Clearwater.
There's but with no audience,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of interesting. So it was a no audience show, which they do. They do empty arena shows, like that's a thing in wrestling. They do,
Yeah.
but now it's yeah. So like the wrestlers would come out to no applause, but they still kind of like gesture the way they would if an audience was there. But then they just like yeah. But then they just like go up to the announcers who are basically the crowd and go antagonize them for like half a minute before they do the wrestling match. So that's kind of interesting. And it got a good rating too. It got like one of their best ratings this year. So I guess that's nice. People are home. I guess I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good bad time to be in TV. I wouldn't want to be in movies right now.
Oh, they just canceled the latest Fast and Furious movie till next year.
Yeah.
It's not coming out till April 2021.
Yeah, they're not even fucking around.
Now they were talking about the Black Widow movie. They're thinking about releasing it like in conjunction with Disney Plus. So
Okay.
like resubscribe to Disney Plus and watch Black Widow at the same time as in theater.
Orient numbers back.
Yeah. Which that'd be interesting. So yeah, it looks like AEW is still going to run shows, but they're also going to be empty arena shows. So it's weird with that because they're like, this live performance stuff is obviously going to get fucked, but like, that's a part of their business. So they're out of like the whole ticket sales thing, but they're still like, how much are they on the hook to like? They're also a television show to produce television. Like, how much are they on a hook for that? That's a weird thing, but.
Yeah.
And sadly, Blood and Guts got canceled. so
Did it?
I don't know if I told you that yet. So they're gonna do AEW was gonna do a big it was a Dynamite show, but it was kind of like a big event that they were gonna do where they're gonna have it was gonna be a giant cage over two rings put together. It used to be called War Games, but they don't have the rights to that, so they just called it Blood and Guts.
Okay.
And it was going to be a 5-on-5 team match, and so they were going to that was going to be like one of their biggest shows of the year because they're running it in like a hockey arena. It was going to be like one of their biggest audiences ever, so they had to cancel that. But they are going to still doing shows, but it looks like just it'll be out of Jacksonville because the guy. Tony Khan and his dad, they own a place called Daly's Place, which is like an amphitheater or whatever for musical performances, and they've set up shows there. So they'll be set up there with no audience.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. That's we're at an interesting junction in this country where
Well, no, I think the interesting thing is like this is a worldwide response. Like there's always something like positive, like. It's like Independence Day. They're like, we're all going to gather together to cynically solve the world's health problem.
China, we're going to accuse this of being a Chinese bioweapon, and then the Chinese are going to say it's a bioweapon we released. Yeah, we're going to do that. And that's
That too, yeah. This is gonna definitely feed into
paranoid.
yeah, and anti-China sentiment. So
Oh yeah. They already know their business model is fucked. Because no one's going to want to do business with them. It's like, oh, if you do business with them, they eat bats. Or whatever people believe. But yeah, it's an interesting time though for entertainment because we've been kind of moving to this online thing, and now this is really gonna. If people are really quarantined for a month here, or 3 weeks or whatever, it's really gonna people are gonna discover new things.
yeah, that's
People that aren't ready for this, unlike me, who I'm just gonna sit around and like super detail a model. Like that's what I'm gonna be. I'm gonna live through this, and if I don't get sick, I'll be fine. This isn't going to affect the flow of my life a whole lot, but for some people, this is going to be a shock to the system. Like I got to be home with my family. Yes.
we're also gonna find out like how many people like don't actually need to go to work. Like, oh, I can just do this from home.
Well, Ford's already told everyone that it's like if you can do your job from home, please do. And I was thinking, could I get like a VR rig, cameras on the forklift, and I can just go around in my room for 11 hours a day? Because when I go to work, if we go to work Monday, which is still up in the air, but if we do, it's going to be a bomb of overtime because all the people that have you small children at home, they are not going to be able to come to work unless they can find people to watch them. But the thing is, the point of this is don't have a bunch of people together, especially a bunch of kids that pick their nose and eat it and shit. But this is there's going to be attendance is going to be terrible at work. So they're probably going to be like, hey, you want to work 48 hours? Like, what do you mean? It's like, it's just 48 continuous hours. No, but...
We got a room set up. You can take a nap in there.
Yeah, it's like
It'll just be like a doctor schedule.
yeah, it's like I'm doing some kind of, what's that called?
On call?
Or, yeah. What do the doctors do with their years of hell?
Oh, yeah. The
Interns, medical interns or something.
Fuck, what is that? Yeah, god damn it. Fuck. It's not exactly an internship. It's like a residency?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like the guy that came in the room's like, you're Jane? I'm like, no. Sorry.
I haven't slept for 60 hours.
Weak. Definitely not Jane. I've got the wrong file. Yes, you have an ovarian cyst removed? No. No, it's my appendix. Okay. It's a weird fucking world, but some dude looked like me named Jane. Getting cyst removed. It's a really weird world.
He was just trying to be really polite. I don't know if you're transitioning or not.
Yeah, that's me, Mr. Transition. Goatee down the middle of my chest. One follicle at a time. I'm a woman.
Yeah, then F1 essentially has been canceled. I'm not sure. We'll see. But there was supposed to be the start of the season was supposed to start this week. It was going to be the Australian Grand Prix.
Okay.
But there was like a hot dog shop in the area. So I think it's called it's like Sir Albert's Park. It's like literally a park, but they could turn it into a racetrack for the weekend.
Okay.
And there's like a hot dog vendor there, and he got coronavirus. Like it's within the park. And they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna do the race." And then one of McLaren's employees got coronavirus, and they just pulled out of the event. It's like, yeah, we're not doing this. And then like a day later, they just canceled. Now they had already canceled the Chinese Grand Prix, but they were gonna still do the Vietnamese Grand Prix because that was the first time they were going to Vietnam.
Yeah.
So they're hoping but they canceled that one. And they'll probably cancel the Italian Grand Prix.
Speaking of which, off subject a little bit, but because you mentioned Vietnamese, I gotta ask. Do you subscribe to the Lockpicking Lawyer?
I know of his stuff. I don't subscribe to him, I don't think.
That he had a lock from Vietnam where the key was in the shape of a swastika. And he's like, never seen one of these before. And then he picked it in like 20 seconds. It's
Yeah.
like, even though the key's weird, it's kind of easy to pick. But he goes, this would not be a big seller in the West. He was kind of explaining how that's a symbol over there that means something different. And,
Oh yeah, because that's like a Tibetan peace symbol.
yeah, it's weird. But when you see, like, and I was thinking, well, to a certain crowd in this country, Vietnamese swastika locks would be a big seller. Just my lock, man. I can't help it if the keyway's shaped like this. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, because like when sort of like the Indiana Jones stuff, where like Hitler like sent out those groups of people and they travel the world and like find shit.
Yeah.
So they found the swastika as like a Tibetan peace symbol. Like that looks cool, and they just took it and made it their thing.
Yeah. I remember when people used to tell me, like, because when I was a kid, like the World War II veterans were in their 60s and 70s, they'd be like, that was a broken cross. That's why Hitler did that. And I was a little kid. I was like, really? He goes, yeah, they hated religion. They hated Christianity. That's why they used that symbol, because it was a broken cross. And I thought, like, well, that's true. I mean, these guys didn't lie to me, but it turns out they've been misinformed at some point. And you find out, well, no, that's actually that's kind of a hybridization of a Far Eastern symbol and kind of runic stuff that the Nazis were into, also like the Nordic type
Yeah.
gods.
Well, they took on stuff like they literally did cultural appropriation, made shit look cool, and sell it to white people.
Yeah, yeah,
Because a lot of the Nazi Party was about like, hey, doesn't this look cool?
yeah.
Like it was more presentation than it was like.
Plus, they had the best uniforms. in
Yeah.
World War II. And now I've heard Hugo Boss design those, and I heard that wasn't true. I don't know. I don't spread misinformation, but if he did, I mean, yeah, those guys had some like crazy looking uniforms. Because like our uniforms, even for our officer, well, they had the SS. Those were the crazy looking uniforms. I don't know what the Wehrmacht uniforms really stood out. But I know, like, us and the British and the Russians, like the officers, their formal dress stuff, it all kind of looked the same.
Yeah.
But they had the Nazis, where they had the squared off shoulders and the, you know, the like the eagles flying everywhere. And it's like, whoa, this is wild.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably doing some new stuff because a lot of military tradition actually goes back to French military stuff.
Yeah.
Because like everyone like that got the British borrowed stuff from them. We borrowed stuff from the British, and it all has a long tradition that's like vaguely homogenized.
Okay. Because I know it was like, yeah, you could hardly tell. I mean, you knew who the U.S. and the British and the Russian officers were, but if they were standing together in a group photo, it's like, oh, those uniforms are very similar.
Yeah.
And the Nazis had that very shit.
But yeah, so F1, yeah, it's there. So they canceled the Australian Grand Prix. And I'm not sure what race is up next, but they'll, depending on how things happen, they'll probably have a season. Also, this season was set up to be like the most races they've ever done in a season, so it's actually the drivers are probably actually kind of like thankful that like 6 of them have been canceled. Yeah, we'll see if they just like cancel the whole season. Because like that's the thing about F1 is like it travels from country to country every week,
Yeah.
which is a bad idea.
Oh, does F1 come here?
Yes.
Where do they go?
They go to there's a Canadian Grand Prix that happens. It happens during the European leg of it, which is weird, and not during the American leg. So that's fucking weird. But they go to Austin, Texas. The American, I think it's our U.S. Grand Prix. Yeah, that's it. And then they go to Mexico and then Brazil, and I believe maybe Argentina.
Okay, that's possible.
I know definitely Mexico and Brazil, but there might be another South American country that they go to. But yeah, they go to Austin, Texas. There's I think it's just called the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas.
No.
It's kind of cool looking. It has this really like weird looking watchtower that looks like an iron giraffe that just lords over the track.
It's good to have that.
Yeah. Yeah. I signed up for the F1 Fantasy League, so kind of bummed I get to that, but might as well not be bummed about pure fantasy rather than people get sick and die in various countries.
Yeah. Have they canceled all the schools there yet?
I don't think so yet, but I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen any local stuff, so I don't really know what's going on locally, except for like, especially it's the weekend, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, they're gonna here they're closing all the schools, and they haven't put any restrictions on your movement yet.
Yeah, I think it's like what New Rochelle in New York. They like called in the National Guard.
Yeah, because they had some statistic like where I'm at, the population density is like 70, and this is rough average, but the population density is like 76 people per square mile or something, kind of in the corner of Michigan I live in. And that place in New York and a lot of places around you, you're like up to 300 people
Yeah.
per mile, and it's like they have to close that down.
But yeah, I was listening to.
Here they're gonna play an alarm though. They're gonna let us know. I think that's the one when they announced it.
Is that the purge alarm? Okay. So I thought about like, what they might call this if everything goes to hell. You call it the surge, because there's too many people going to the hospital. The surge.
Let's see. Well, of course, Stacy works in nursing. She works in geriatric medicine, and yeah, they have like new government guidelines: no visitors unless people are actively in hospice and dying. And then those people, if you enter the building and come back, they have to take your temperature and do something else. And they told them Thursday. My wife was at a meeting, and they said if we get positive cases here, the facility's probably going to go on lockdown, so we're not going to leave. And Stacy was like, "Okay, but you're not paying me straight time for that." It's just like we get into 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours where I can't leave. I'm getting paid for all that fucking time. So yeah, that's.
But I was listening to a podcast, and they live in New York, and they said what they're doing there is like they're shutting schools down for 3 weeks, and in that 3 weeks they're just gonna like go in and just wipe down the fuck out of the school, just Lysol every surface, and then they're gonna go back. That's the current plan.
Yeah, that's the plan today. They're gonna do something at our work. I got a flyer. I don't know where it is. They're gonna have people in there. I forget what mine is. But they're hiring a team. It's like a crew that's gonna come in and basically hose the plant down with the solvents you use to get a suite ready for surgery. They said there might be unpleasant smells. It's like, yeah, that doesn't sound pleasant. But we'll see. They say things like
And you show up, and there's that same burger stain there that's been there for 5 years. Well, obviously they missed that spot.
that. Well, and then the guys that chew tobacco that just like near their workstations, there's just puddle on the floor and it's still there. People just spit on the floor all day chewing tobacco. It's like, that's amazing. Thanks for that. We did replace all the pipes in the bathroom.
Huh.
Because about once a month that whole place would smell like someone took a giant shit in it. Just be blowing around in there, and they figured out one of their pipes was busted. But when one of your pipes is busted in there, that's not just like a couple guys going in and replacing a pipe. That's like jackhammering up cement.
Yeah.
You got to get a crew, like 20 people, and they're replacing a 10-foot section of pipe, which is why they don't do that very much. Because it probably costs $100,000. It's
Yeah, it was a.
Gotta pull out blueprints.
I'm not short on toilet paper, but I was considering like, should I get a bidet? That's probably more available than toilet paper right now.
Yeah, we have bidets in America. It's called a shower.
Well, they make these like really easy hookups where you just like hook it up to a thing in the back of the thing, and it just like goes on the toilet seat.
Oh, I've never used a bidet. I wouldn't even know how. I buy nice toilets too, but I've never bought one. I don't have the crazy Japanese toilets.
Yeah.
Not yet. Give me time. But
Well, I was looking at them just out of curiosity, and they have like temperature control on it and stuff like that too, so it just shock the shit out of you.
splash on your ass.
Or I guess that would help. You'd literally shock the shit out of you.
Quick job. Be ready for that fire hose. Yeah, there's a lot of things we've bought in bulk for years, not just to hoard, but because we want to buy it once every 3 months.
Yeah.
And laundry soap and toilet paper have become two of those things. So we already have like a bunch of toilet paper.
Yeah, I got a mom and dad had discarded. They bought like a 30 rack. I'm gonna call it that because that sounds funny. A 30 rack of Scott toilet paper, like the 1-ply. So it's awful. So they just like abandoned that towards me.
Yeah.
So It sucks, but it'll last a while.
Just double it up.
Yeah. You just go through the roll quicker. And then in bouts of depression, I had to intend to yeah, I'm gonna get out of this funk. So I had bought 6 months ago tons of cleaning supply and to intend to clean the basement. And then we just moved, and it's like, well, I don't have to clean anymore.
Now I've got plenty of supply.
Yeah. Got Lysol wipes, towels, some Lysol sprays, and all that stuff.
I made homemade hand sanitizer because I use a lot of high test isopropyl alcohol in model building and cleaning and prepping surfaces and stuff.
Yeah.
Found out how you make hand sanitizer, which is basically just gelatin
Yeah.
but infused with alcohol. And so it's like, yeah, I got homemade. I'll strip your fucking skin off. You're clean. You're done. I used it once and my hands turned red. I was like, yeah, that's what 99%.
So, oh, okay. I was gonna. Yeah. So the minimum is 60% and you're good. So I guess you're beyond that then.
Well, the stuff I'm using is what do I have here? I have 98 isopropyl, 99 isopropyl. I have reagent alcohol, which will strip your skin off. I have denatured alcohol. They're explosive. I have turpentine.
Yeah, we were running out of cleaning supplies, so then now all the vinegar's gone.
Oh, I got a bunch of that.
And then I haven't checked on it, but I bet all the hydrogen peroxide's gone as well, because that's also a backup cleaning supply in a pinch.
No, I use I get it from Lowe's. I have 5 gallons of that cleaning bleach, but I always have that on hand. When I clean my bathroom, it's like I like to be sterile. Don't fuck around. I've always kind of been a germaphobe, not too much. I'm not a mess phobe, but I don't like a lot of filth. I wasn't really looking for cleaning supplies. Yeah, that's what I should do. Make reagent alcohol. Kills down to the subdermal layer.
Have a tattoo you regret?
Get rid of the coronavirus and unwanted tattoos. I think that would probably turn the gelatin into a solid. These are the science experiments. Yeah, we're all ready. Ready for the apocalypse. What's the long and short odds on how much this will take out of the economy? Have you heard figures yet?
Not really, but
We're definitely going to go into a recession.
yeah, definitely that. I mean, it's immediately a bear market. A lot of things comparable to 2008, but this isn't necessarily based on I don't know. It's weird. It's necessarily what is it affecting your live business events, vacation stuff, but how much of that how much of that is trillions of dollars in the economy? And it's it isn't, but I guess there's a knockdown effect of other things. If one thing goes down, then there's less money coming in from all hands. So I don't know.
What I've heard is this will eventually, over the couple months, reveal any underlying fractures. Any flaws in the metal will be revealed.
This is if things get bad, it'll definitely reveal all the problems. Then we'll have essentially Republicans hoping for government intervention, and we're gonna have universal health care and shit like that, but in weird cynical ways where it doesn't actually work in your favor. But Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard any speculation. I haven't heard any economic speculation, but it's going to be globally bad. So I guess if it's globally bad, then who gives a shit?
Well, it'll bounce back quicker because it's not isolated.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's not one. It's not one country taking a shit. It's like we're all taking a shit.
Well, I remember when I was in high school, like the big thing was the Asiatic monetary crisis.
Yeah.
The Asian flu, because it like started in Japan and then it went to Korea and then it went to because they'd all been they basically created hyperinflation by keeping their currency super weak so they could export. I mean, that's what ruined Japan. Like Japan never stopped doing that because they're just an export nation, and they were even back then. And it was like, well, that was isolated. So that was bad for 10 years in Asia. That's why everyone, Koreans and Japanese, they all call the 90s the lost decade because they had so many problems for the whole decade that they never really got. And then China emerged, and they're like, well, we're fucked. It's a huge country.
Because I haven't heard anybody I haven't heard about any country like they're doing fine. In fact, they're thriving because of this.
No. I mean, China's trying to take a victory lap already. Like, yeah, we're great. Business as usual. So,
Well, yeah, like somebody was comparing it to like SARS, because I guess it's most familiar with SARS, and like once it kind of like got through the top of the what do you call it, the
horrible people.
well, the exponential graph of infection to drop off. Like once it got on the other side of the curve, like SARS just essentially just disappeared.
Yeah, no one talked about it.
Well, like it just didn't like exist, or at least not in large quantities that infected the world. Like just apparently everyone just picked up had an immunity to it at some recourse. Because like SARS was like more deadly than this, but we just don't know like what this will do. Like, is this just going to stick around like influenza, or is it going to disappear like SARS?
Yeah. Well, it depends on who you listen to.
Yeah.
Go to Infowars.com.
Yeah. Like Alex Jones in a drunk drive. It's like they're keeping him the truth out of his hands.
What was the weird spin they put on? Yeah. What did they had some defense like? Well, he wasn't really drunk, but because of there's DUI arrests are like down over 70% over the whole country. That's like that revenue stream closed. So if you have any amount of alcohol in your system, they're going to try to fuck you. You know, I mean that's what they're saying. It's Infowars. It's probably true. There's always an interesting.
Put that quote up there. It's Infowars. It's probably true.
True. It's as true as you want it. Are you having fun with this? Doesn't matter. Just don't vote.
Infowars. It's as accurate as your imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you dipped into like the conspiracy things about this? Like, it's like, oh, it's all a hoax. They're gonna pull the wool over eyes.
No, I haven't heard that. Yeah. The weirdest shit I've heard is it's a bioweapon, which I kind of half believe, but not like it was intentionally launched at us. It's like, oh, they were just fucking around and it got out of the lab. Because the experts they have in China are just people that came over here and bought and cheated their way through our universities, so they're not really very good at what they're doing, and they let this shit out in the world. That's what one guy said. But yeah, no, I haven't heard that this is like a false front for the black helicopters coming. I mean, I haven't looked either. I know that's out there. But
Yeah.
it's not looking for it because it's like, yeah.
Well, I see like the creeping Reddit posts are like, they're like, what's when everyone's attention is taken away, what's actually happening that's going to affect the, what's going through Congress at lightning speed with a bunch of like rioters on it that we don't know what's going to affect America for the next 40 years.
Oh, yeah, something like that did actually go through. They re-upped the Surveillance Act, and they said it was the most bipartisan agreement they'd ever had on it, but that happened a week before I mean, we knew about it, but that happened like a week ago.
Okay.
So something really did happen, but it's like, yeah, they're always going to vote that FISA stuff in. Because if you don't, then you stand with the terrorists. Now, of course you're going to do that. That's how the game is played. Well, I mean, there's some examples you can actually cite of what we're not paying attention to anymore because of this. Hong Kong, what's going on with the Uyghurs, how the Chinese have set up modern concentration camps in China to kill those people. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that like we're not talking about anymore because of this, but I don't think that stuff's like gone away.
Yeah.
It's there. Everyone's just gonna pick up where it lets. It's like it's gonna vaporize.
They didn't sneak it on the rug. They're still like it's still like a leg hanging out of the trunk of the car. And some guy's looking surprised. Oh no! Look away.
Wait, no, pay attention to the virus.
And then you look away. But as soon as you look back, it's still them fumbling with a body in the trunk. So.
Yeah. It's, again, we always make our enemies into like the Russians were like, these are 10-foot tall super geniuses that Ronald Reagan's going to help save us from. These guys couldn't find their ass with both hands and a flashlight. They were fucking up so bad. But it's like, no, we need a multi-trillion-dollar defense system to protect ourselves against people that can't feed themselves. A third of their grain comes from us, and they're our biggest enemy in the world at the time. They still get a third of their grain from the U.S. It's like you know, but we need a couple more aircraft carriers. I mean, not now. That doesn't happen anymore with Russia. It happens with China. They get a bunch of their food from us, but they're our national declared enemy. It's like, okay, what the one admiral say? Like, stop selling food to China and hit the Three Gorges dams with 5 nuclear weapons. And it's like, it's over, folks. We won the war. We killed more people than the Nazis and the Russians and the Chinese combined, but we won. So, yeah, we always have that weird thing where our enemies are much stronger and more prepared than us. You know, it's like Pearl Harbor happened. It's like, they're going to take over the western seaboard. No, they're not. They don't have enough people in their whole country to do that. But that's how we think, because the outside world is just scary and weird and far away from us. It's like, yeah, you got to make it scary. You got to get those defense budgets. Got to keep those defense dollars coming in.
And also, is this like weirdly like the situation? Is this like is libertarian's dream? Like everybody's living in their own castle.
Well, kind of, until the lights get turned on. Yeah, all those libertarian fantasies will quickly become nightmares as soon as goods and service. I mean, there's people that are probably going to get killed because someone didn't have candy bars in the store that they want. I mean, this could come off the rails. I don't think we're even close to coming off the rails yet.
No.
They're just buying a lot of shit. And I want to know, like, who's paying the bills in 3 months. Because I consider myself, I'm not wealthy, but I'm fortunate. And it's like, okay, I can spend a little extra and be off work for a month, and it's not gonna like derail me completely. There's people out there I know they're just taking credit cards and like buying 100 rolls of toilet paper and putting it on a credit card. It's like, well, you're gonna have to pay for that. But, I mean, unless you just think you're gonna die. Then I'm just curious.
Bury me with my toilet paper. Invest in the toilet paper industry and the Lysol industry.
Well, it's weird, like the connections we have with people, like especially where Stacy works, because that's more rural. Because you can't buy meat around here to save your life, unless it's really expensive cuts of steak. Those are all still there. But if you want hamburger or something,
Quick interruption. We had during Christmas time, we had like a stand-up roast, like a really expensive cut of beef.
yeah,
It was like $70 for like a 15-pound like roast or whatever. And they fucking wrapped it in one of those like security things, like with the wire and the thing, and nobody bought it. So
just got thrown out in the trash.
no, we donated it to a food shelter, but.
Yeah, I mean, but around here, like, you can't get meat to save your life. And by meat, I mean, like, bologna and stuff.
You mean like now or just like in general?
now?
Okay. Okay.
And you haven't been able to for like I think the last thing we got a pound of hamburger was 2 weeks ago, but maybe it was a week. I don't know. But we know these people that work on that they're like they're nurses with Stacy, but it's actually a farm that their husband runs or something. And we're just been getting like a farm fresh bacon and eggs and all this the stuff you can't find at the grocery store. We just go to her work, and this lady's like, "Yeah, we got all kind. You can get like 5 pounds of bacon for $10 or something. Crazy. We cooked a bunch of it up today." And it's like, yeah, you just go buy shit from the farmers, which we do a lot of that anyway. It's like, yeah, there's not. You just gotta know where to look. You just can't go to the grocery store. I mean, they're butchering cattle and hogs around here constantly. You can go right to those places and buy. Remember when I had the freezer full of steak?
Yeah.
Because I bought that like whole cow one year. Yeah, it has like 150 T-bones and all kinds of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done that occasionally. We had like a quarter cow with grandma one time, and it was just a freezer full of meat for like 2 years.
Yeah, insane. You can get, and that's what we're doing. We're gonna get sausage and pork chops.
We had like 50 ribeyes, and I was like, I discovered like, oh, I can just get a ribeye steak every day. Eat that.
Every day. Yeah, that's what we used to bring people to come over. It's like, you want a steak? Yeah, because these weren't like the thin cut, like we're cutting to make the most profit off of it. You already bought the cow. These people like, how thick do you want it? Thick. Okay. And so yeah, I give people like T-bones. You pay for $45, $50. It's like, oh yeah, I got 100 of them. Have 2. You want another one? On the grill. I had 5 propane tanks in my garage at that time. I couldn't keep the damn grill going. I burnt the back out of a grill because I was grilling out literally every day. We quit doing that though when we lost power here for like 2 days, where the power kept going on and off, on and off, on and off, and the breaker didn't reset on the freezer. So it just was off in the summer for like a week before we realized it. And then we opened it. It's like we had a corpse in our garage. Okay, we're never doing this.
I think we have nice circuit breakers in this house because I'm able to. So I have like it's either 1200 or 14 watt microwave.
Yeah.
And at the old house, like if you had 2 things running on whatever that microwave is on, it would flip the breaker. So here it's running on the refrigerator, the computer here, and that, and like the light will dim when you turn the microwave on, but it'll hold strong.
Do you have that Plex plumbing?
I don't know.
Is it got like the red line and the blue line, and it's all flexible?
What, on the microwave?
No, in the house. Just the plumbing in the house.
Oh, I don't know about the plumbing in the house.
Yeah, that's some new stuff recently. It's called Plex.
I mean, yeah, this house is like 4 years old, so maybe.
Yeah, might be too old for that. We were looking at some new build houses. It's like, what's this shit? It's like, oh, that's plumbing now. It's like, oh, that because it's just like flexible tubing.
Yeah.
Not like the old glue the shit together and all that like I do, or the copper pipes you got to sweat together with a torch and stuff. You just put a copper fitting in the end of a tube and you bend it almost any way you want to. And it's
Huh.
Oh, it's in.
And it doesn't degrade or break, or at least not for a while.
Not until the warranty's up on the home. Yeah, because you see that in the new. We'll go tour these houses and I'll look through the basement. It's like, that's weird. It's like, yeah, it's really good stuff. It's really expensive, but it's like everything. It looks like a junction block, like for like a fuse panel.
Yeah.
You got the main water pipe coming in, and then everything comes in and out of it. Like everything comes out of the wall. You got a main water heater line that's red, blue is your cold, and it's just everything stretches through the house. So you don't have to mess with AC pipes.
Huh.
I guess you can plumb a house very quickly. Like you do 3 or 4 a day if you got a crew of guys, instead of just like 1 week. Making all these joints.
Yeah, they're building around here. There's like a bunch of just construction equipment like parked around where all the empty areas are.
No.
This will be expanding.
Oh yeah. Well, that's everywhere. So we've looked at a lot everywhere we go. We look at new houses. Probably gonna do that once Grayson's out of college. Or not. I don't know.
Looking to go smaller or bigger,
Probably about, I don't know. Maybe.
or same size, just better luxury.
Yeah. We don't have a lot of amenities in this house. Other than this was kind of the starter home that we never left. We didn't have three more kids, so especially cheap where I live. I mean, I'd love to have like Stacy found this awesome house. It's on Facebook. We were just as a joke because it was 5,600 square foot. But it was just this amazing house in the decorations like $780,000 in Ann Arbor.
I remember that the house in Indiana had like a lot of weird things about that house where it just had like specialized rooms. Like, what is this room? And it's like completely different. And you had those doors that like slid together and like for events and stuff like that, or you had some explanation of like what that was actually, because it was like built in an era where you used to have like viewings in your house when one of your family members died.
Yeah, when they would embalm the body, they'd bring it to the house, and so you just open up like what would be like a drawing room or an office room. You could just move all that stuff and open those doors out, and it's like a big, almost banquet area where you can, stare at corpse or whatever. Yeah, that was normal back then. House was also very inefficient to heat and cool.
Oh yeah,
Things like that.
we had some weird like like World War II aircraft carrier engine in that thing.
What's going on? It's like you think there's like an F-14 getting ready to yeah, it had like a drum in it that would take your fingers off. Like it destroy a human body. That's how big the fan was. Yeah, there's old houses. Like the houses they build now, if you pay extra. Well, I mean, the insulation they have now is shoot foam in the walls.
Yeah.
It's like impermeable almost, and then they have the windows you can get, like the triple beam windows, where you could be on the other side with a blowtorch. You could put your hand up to it and it wouldn't feel heat. Not that crazy, but it's damn close.
Some NASA shit.
It's like aerogel windows. It's real hot in the summer. Your AC barely runs unless somebody opens the door. Yeah, that's the kind of house I want to upgrade to. Is something that it's like you can keep this house at 65 all year round and not use that much energy.
Does all the new stuff do geothermal, or is that like some extra special stuff you have to do?
Yeah.
Because you have to do it when you're building the house, right?
Yeah. There's only certain areas you can do it in.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you can do it everywhere. It depends on what's your land, what you got under the ground. Yeah, I would definitely be into that. I just always like the houses that were kind of built like in a berm. Like it's not a completely underground house where you're going into the ground, but like
It's like built on a hill. It's like a basement, but half of it's covered. Yeah, that's what the old house was. But
yeah, I want something like, but I don't want a structure above ground. Like I just want the house to be built into the side.
have a hobbit hole, but cooler.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I live on the hobbit house. Those are super energy efficient, but I also heard you can get into water bombs.
Yeah.
I'll just live in cookie cutter suburb.
Just buy one of those abandoned missile silos.
I like those guys that go. What is it? The guys because Russia's just like filled with shit like that, and a lot of it was forgotten because the Soviet Union collapsed so quickly. These guys were filming. They went into this like they had to crawl through a pipe from a hotel. It was really scary. Like you'd never get me to do that. It was like a man-sized pipe. I mean, maybe for these guys, not for me. I'd get stuck in the pipe. But these guys like crawled through this pipe, and someone had taken a a section out. This whole underground thing in the city in Russia. They wouldn't say where they were. They go down there. There's like gas masks, crates of ammunition. All the guns were just crates of ammunition, weird shortwave radios from like the 80s and stuff. It was a whole bunker set, diesel generators, and the one guy knew what he was doing, and they were messing around with it. And they brought someone brought like a liter bottle of diesel fuel. This guy got this thing running, but then they turned it off real quick. They started seeing sparks and stuff. Shit on YouTube. But they find these bunkers, like somebody knows about them, but they're not maintained. Half of them are full of water.
Yeah.
But that's some like nuclear bomb shelter that the Soviets built. That, like most of the stuff's still in it except guns. These guys, they found an RPG once. That was a missile, but they found
The tube.
Yeah, and it's like, Jesus Christ. But this guy's done like 5 of these videos, like just all over Russia. Nobody's maintaining this. I mean, the only reason the stuff hasn't been stolen is no one can figure out how to get like those diesel generators out of there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where. Because I forget where they walked out. They ended up in the sewer system or somewhere under the city, and there was a door. It's like, oh, you can't open it. You know, they had someone outside, like, yeah, the people aren't down there. Go ahead, so you can walk out. They couldn't walk in that way. It's like the city maintenance crew. Jesus. And I'm sure we have stuff like that here too. It's just our government didn't.
Yeah.
Not yet. And
Well, there's like weird subway stuff like that where it's like just abandoned subway tunnels.
yeah, the perfectly preserved 1930s subway tunnels. Nobody.
They're just modern day sarcophagus
Yeah.
full of cat skeletons.
What was the other weird thing? This guy went to a radar station somewhere in the Ukraine and like stood on it, and the dish looked like it was as big as a football field. This guy was standing in the middle of it, and the guy on the ground just says like, "Yeah, this thing's humming. This might still be active." And then the security people found it. Like they were yelling at him, "Get down!" And they kept the cameras running, but they had them at their sides, and then all of a sudden the footage cuts off and then cuts back on. It's like, oh, they let us go. They just said, oh, you're being stupid foreigners. This guy's from the Netherlands or something.
Oh, okay.
Kind of speaks Russian, so. But I take it when they cut the cameras off, they were just handing out money. And they're like, I'll take your picture while you're up. But yeah, there's weird shit like that I watch on YouTube. Just abandoned military stuff. And stuff that makes no sense. What's this here for? What's this radar array doing? Why is it as big as a football field? Who's guarding it? What for? It's obviously disrepair. I mean, it looked like something in Half-Life. Like, that's how weird it
Yeah.
is. It's like, what is this?
Would you ever watch that? Oh fuck! It's like something like Around the World is Ewan McGregor driving around in Russia and shit like that.
Oh, he's on the motorcycles?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I've seen some of it, not a lot.
yeah. There's a part where he goes through Russia and like and you just see like, you know, like where communism stopped and like there's no more infrastructure being built in these areas because like they had to put the bikes in like these weird trucks where they cross rivers because like all these bridges are just broken down and you just see like roadways that look like because like literally they didn't repair the road, so it's just like weather has taken the road away.
It's kind of riding in the middle, what's left of the road, because it's all sagging into the ground.
Yeah. And pulling each other out of like mud holes and stuff like that. Because, you know, just the like we don't have money to keep this infrastructure up, so it's just like, you know, the nature has taken the the roads back.
Oh yeah, there's videos of like cities that were active in the Soviet times, where there was like a uranium mine there, and so they built this wonderful city for all the miners, and the Soviet Union ceased to exist, and like there's just a bunch of buildings like apartment complexes, nobody lives in.
Yeah.
They've all stripped the pipes and the copper wire out of the wall, so they're in bad shape. But it's like this was built in 1991. Like what? Fuck, where is everyone? Because they weren't need the uranium.
Well, yeah, because it was an enormous cost to try to like, you know, that whole Trans-Siberian, railroads and just passageways like that because of the, the snow and stuff like that, and especially like when spring comes around, you have just like all this shit melting, which just destroys roads.
Yeah.
When things are just like turning to ice and then melting suddenly, like, constantly all the time.
Yeah. It's a weird place. Weird to see what happens when like priorities suddenly shift like, within a month. No electricity. Well, anyway, we watched the movie.
Yes. The Coldest Game.
Yes, this was a Polish movie. American cast.
Isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the guys were. Some of
Well, I
them-
know like the not Jessica Chastain is like she's like from Amsterdam or something like that.
Lottie Rebeck.
Yeah. Because there's like some point, I don't know if it was like the audio mix, but I was like, I thought they were like dubbing over some of the people, and I was like, oh wait, no, that's just them.
Yeah.
But I think some people are dubbed, or it's like they had our Polish guy, but he needs to do like a New York accent or something like that, and it's like clearly not him talking, or it was just a weird mix, and it just seemed like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was some weird. This is a strange movie.
Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of watchable because the Bill Pullman as Dr. Mansky was interesting, which is basically a guy who's such a mathematical analytical thinker. The only relief he gets is being a complete alcoholic. It, like slows down his thinking enough. Where
Yeah.
it's normal. And he's and he's playing this chess game. There was a lot of like chess games.
So this isn't based on anything, although like it's just kind of like a fictionalized version of the time that makes this chess game all important.
Yeah.
Like instead of like all these, because it's all like this chess game has to do with like the Cuban Missile Crisis and just generally, but it's like it's sort of an interesting how they're placing it. It's like the chess game, the pieces on the board, that's all representative of like American and Soviet like war machine stuff. Like it's a literal representation of what that is going.
The ships going to Cuba.
Yeah.
Tie all that.
But you don't have that budget, so you just have it represented as a chess piece.
Yeah.
Although this movie does look good. It's well produced.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And well directed, but it's also just weird. Because the CIA kidnaps a guy and against his will to make him play a chess game. Like that's fucking absurd.
Yeah, that's and then the guy, because the guy we had playing this guy before, the Russians poisoned him, or the Soviets
Yeah.
poisoned him and killed him. It's like, well, I know that never happened
Yeah.
because they would have done that to Bobby Fischer many times over.
And then when the young CIA guy gets poisoned, it's like okay, this never happened. Because they chased down a hypnotist. Although that room was cool. It's like the glass box, and then you have all the speakers on the wall projecting white noise. That was fucking cool.
Oh yeah, I love the room because they'd be in there, from the outside it'd just be like,
Yeah.
and they'd be in there having a normal conversation. Stuff like that is real. They
Yeah.
have stuff like that, because the Russians were always spying. Still are. Now we just let them into our homes through Facebook. Spying on everybody and lying to us, and we love it. But yeah, this movie looked good. It had some good performances, but I mean overall it was kind of weird. By the way, the Soviets in the '60s did not use ricin to kill people. They used curare
Huh.
because it was a lot more effective and easier to handle than ricin. I thought that was just something like historically inaccurate because that was like the signature, kind of like polonium is for Putin's government.
Yeah.
Or Novichok, nerve agent, which they may or may not have used, but yeah, that's Yeah, you knew the Russians killed you when they used curare. That was their signature. You knew the Americans killed you when we shot you in the face. So we didn't bother to really poison people that much.
But there's also some things I'm not sure because it is a Polish movie, or at least production. There might be a lot of things that's like meant for a Polish audience that like I might be missing. Because it seems they try to like pull that stuff together when he like runs away with the
Hotel manager.
yeah.
Who has a secret passageway to his closet. And all he really wants to do is get drunk, talk about World War II, and be this guy's friend.
Yeah.
Seem to have an agenda, but you're just waiting for the agenda to come out.
Well, there was a part where it seemed like the Russians were threatening him to basically distract this guy, and he goes and does it, but he's kind of like not really. He's essentially working both sides.
Yeah.
Because he's getting fucked on both sides.
Yeah, he seems more than a little ambivalent about what he's doing, so he's like, I'm just gonna have fun.
Yeah, and you see like, oh, he's just this weird, crazy drunk guy, but then he's like, the cops come and like try to arrest him because he has a pistol, but then they find out who he is. And, like, do they describe it? He's just like some war hero, but he's retired as a like hotel manager or something.
With the Palace of the Ministry of Culture or something. He has some kind of job like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, because he's like waving a gun around, and the cops show up, and they look and see who it is. They're like, "Oh, give him his gun back."
I'll write myself up, sir.
I have a family, please. But yeah, it was a weird movie.
I think it's mostly held together by Bill Pullman just because he's a weird character, but it's also weird that he was a replacement. It was originally supposed to be William Hurt.
Oh wow, that would have been strange. I think one of the darkest moments in this movie is the bathroom murders, where that guy, the gift, the Russian mole that's giving him the microfilm.
Yeah.
And when he just like kills that woman, like breaks her neck, stabs the other guy, but they like show it in an extended scene. It's because she's betraying Bill Pullman, but we don't know that. So this Russian general just shows up and murders these people ruthlessly. When you find out in the end, it's like, oh wait, no, he's the double agent. He's the good guy. It was sort of confusing. Who was lying to who was sort of confusing.
Yeah, sometimes that's the game you play in the movie, but
Yeah.
it doesn't all work out in the end. But you gotta play those roles sometimes.
Yeah, it seemed a little confused. Like, what am I waiting
The same thing kind of happened to Atomic Blonde,
for? Yeah.
where like it was a really cool movie, very stylish, and it's about the Cold War. And then you get to the end and you realize, like, oh, this didn't have anything to say. This is purely backdrop.
Art. Purpose of looking cool. Yeah. If you're a fan of the Cold War and paranoia, the movie and a good aesthetic looking movie, it's a cool movie. It might be a little trying to get through though at times, because it seems to like repeat scenarios over and over.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's getting drunk again.
I did like the way he wins the first game and like you only find it where he just like wakes up and he's like, why didn't anybody wake me up? He's like, you won the game, and like he gets it explained to himself like he's just drunk the whole time on a stupor and didn't know what the fuck happened.
And they start to tell him how I won. He's like, oh wait, and then I did this, and then I did that. It's like, are you remembering? Well, no. Do the strategy of how you would win like that if you know it's.
It kind of makes me want to go back and there's a like some 90s movie that he did. I think it was called like Zero Cool or something like that.
Effect.
Zero Effect, yeah.
Yeah, that is a cool movie. It's weird. He's like this. I guess nowadays you'd call him autistic, or someone with a lot of social anxiety. But he's like Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Can sort of put things together rapidly. But then he's like, yeah, but please don't talk to me. Don't look at me. You know, there's a lot of weird things like that in there.
And
I think a global apocalypse theme overarching that too.
so I remember that was like a movie when I was a kid. I kind of picked up on, was like, Yeah, people are sleeping on this movie. I think this movie is cool, but like nobody else does. I have to watch it again some because it has like shit. What's Ben? Fuck, he was in fuck. Why can't the fuck? He was in Tropic Thunder, the main guy in Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yeah, Ben Stiller.
Yeah, Ben Stiller. He was like his assistant in that movie. I think so. I'll have to watch that movie. But yeah, that reminded me of that movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's based on Arthur Conan Doyle. So no wonder he seemed like
Oh, okay.
because he was.
They're trying to make a modern day Sherlock Holmes. Even though probably at the time it probably didn't have a. It's probably already public domain. They could have done what they wanted.
Yeah. Well, they made the movie for $2 million.
Oh, okay. Shit, wasn't. Who directed that movie? Are you looking at the IMDb?
Yeah, Lawrence Kasdan's son.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was like some famous person's son directed that movie.
Jake Kasdan. Yeah, I remember it now. Again, it was kind of. This was Bill Pullman. Is this right after or right before Lost Highway? I think this was right after Lost Highway. And all he was doing was weird movies. He did that one too around the same time. It was that Vim Vendors movie about I don't know, I just closed it down. It was basically about Indian global violence or something, and then he was accused of murder. I forget what it's called. Yeah, it was around that time he was doing stuff like that.
Yeah. And in this movie, they keep calling him a professor, like, so I imagine he was at a school somewhere. But like when they pick him up, he's not like a professor anywhere. He's just doing weird. He's like conning card games or something for alcohol and drugs.
Yeah, he was one of the guys. I think he was just like some brilliant. What's he called? He's not a mathematician. Oh, he's a logician.
Oh, okay.
Who like he doesn't. I mean, I don't know exactly. Logicians I know are like some part of the analytical process where they like put all the pieces together. For
I did like when he.
Oppenheimer and stuff. They said. So.
It's completely ridiculous, but I did like when he's just suddenly kidnapped, thrown in the room, and like you as the audience have no idea what's going on. He wakes up and tells them the plot of the movie essentially.
Yeah.
Like, how'd you figure that out? It's like, well, it's the most logical thing, right?
Well, no, but yeah. Okay. Bill Pullman does a good job of playing characters like that.
Yeah.
Because he's so I can't believe that guy started in Spaceballs either. That's hard to put that together. And then he has his doppelganger, Eric Daniel, or was it? What's the guy who he looks like? They always get those two confused. Jeff Daniels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because Jeff Daniels and Bill Pullman always get confused.
Well, there's always that thing where people would like, it's like intentionally confuse them, and they don't look nothing alike. They just have similar names. It was Bill Pullman and Bill Paxton.
Oh, I never heard anyone getting those two confused. But yeah.
Well, it'd just be the name thing.
Yeah, the Bill.
If you saw them, you wouldn't confuse them, but like if you would fuck up their name occasionally.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels and Bill Pullman.
Yeah, yeah.
Jeff Daniels is right down the road. He's from Chelsea, Michigan. He has his own restaurant and his own theater. He just shows up for those big Dumb and Dumber.
I got some Grubhub the other day, so I have to shout out a restaurant, I guess.
Okay.
Fuzzy Tacos.
Okay, that sounds horrifying.
So normally on Grubhub, if I order something, like I only order on Mondays, so I get some spendy, and sometimes it's like $40 for a fucking meal, and now like make like $10 of that just goes towards transportation fees. So it's really, I'm getting like a $30 meal or something.
Yeah.
But it's like a restaurant quality meal delivered right to my home. So, it's fun. So usually I'm spending like $30 to $40 for a fucking meal just for me. And it's Monday, so it's sort of my cheat day. Like if I actually did my diet. And so I ordered from this place, and it ends up being like $18.
Okay.
And I got,
Liking the sound of this.
and I got like,
Put
I
it in
got,
a car for you, right?
I got like, huh?
That's what someone bringing it over to a car for you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And I got like 3 tacos, a couple of sides, and then I got the chorizo, queso chorizo, queso fundido. That's what they usually call it.
Okay.
And we get this at a Mexican restaurant. It would just be like, here's white cheddar with chorizo, and it was awesome. And then the last time we went there, they fucked it up where it's like a whole plate where it's like they put a bunch of like onions and green and red peppers mixed in with the cheese, and it's like,
You're just wanting good old white queso.
yes,
You're making it crazy.
yeah, it's like I have to like dive around shit to get to the cheese and chorizo. So I ordered that, and it was like, now sometimes I get this from other restaurants. It's like $12 for like chips and queso, and they put it all in those white foam containers.
Right.
So you're getting, sometimes if you're lucky, they'll put the cheese on the outside and then fill the white container with chips. Other times they'll put the chip in there and then you get like half the chips. So I ordered that, and it was like $5 for like a cup of queso fundido. And then when it came to the door, it was queso fundido and an entire bag of chips.
Nice.
Like you would get at like a Dorito bag at the store. That's the size of chips they gave me. And the food was like, it was fine. Especially for the price. It was totally fine.
Awesome. I'm looking at their menu now. It's like a Baja style.
Yeah. You get like fish tacos and stuff like that. I was not brave enough to try that stuff yet, but and also it was the first time I ever ordered something, and it was like, oh, we're moving your order up faster. We're gonna get, like, it was supposed to get here like within an hour, and like they moved it up like 20 minutes, and it got here like 20 minutes before it was expected to get here. I was like, this is an awesome experience. Because I've had like dumb shit where like I've ordered something, it's like, oh, this is cool, but it was like a food truck, so they had a lot of cool stuff, but their hours aren't. It's not like, open at normal hours. So I'd order food and then I get something back. It's like, oh, we're not open. It's like, you just said you're fucking open. And then
Noon till 1:43.
yeah.
Every other Tuesday.
Well, some of those food truck stuff, like they'll do order stuff like this, but like they're literally at a spot until they sell out of food, and then they're done for the day.
Oh, okay.
So they don't have normal operating hours. They just they make the food for the day, and then they sell it all out of college, and then they're done for the day.
Yeah.
Or I've had stuff where the order gets delayed twice. There's nobody there to pick it up, and then it just gets canceled after 2 hours of waiting. So this was a brand new experience with Grubhub.
Cool. I've never done that.
It's way too expensive, but it is incredibly convenient to just get restaurant quality food sent to your house.
Oh, okay.
I don't gotta get up and put clothes on. I don't gotta worry about the stigma of being alone at a restaurant.
Do you find that stigmatizing?
I don't care. The only time it really, it would affect me mentally is I hate the idea of that you think about the waiter. It's like, because you're just one person ordering so much food, it's like their tip's gonna be shit, so you basically get shit service because there's no reason to serve you well. Which I understand that. It's like, okay, well then I won't come there.
I love going to a sit down restaurant alone. A book or something. Just I never thought of that. But I never hardly ever get to do that either.
Yeah.
It's not. If I'm alone, I'm gonna throw a pizza.
Yeah.
sit around and Seymour Steakhouse.
Yeah, the restaurant I order from. They have like some cool stuff occasionally, but always something always gets fucked up the order. But they had like a burger where it has like pulled pork on it and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, it's awesome. Just eating a heart attack, but it's a great heart attack. Or they do a great blackened chicken Alfredo. It's just like 3 pounds of blackened chicken in Alfredo. It's like $15, but it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, see, our big thing around here is like all the Middle Eastern restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see the guys come in all the time from Grubhub. I mean, some of those guys will have a minivan. You know,
Yeah.
just like open up the back and like push a cart out. What that service costs.
Yeah, it's depends on the restaurant. I'm not sure about the distance. It's like a $5 delivery fee, but then you're also like adding a tip for your driver, which I usually tip at least $5 for the driver. Which really you shouldn't tip them at all on the app. You should just have like a stack of fives at your door and just hand it to them. Because if it goes to the app, then basically like Grubhub's gonna steal like 90% of their tip. Well, I haven't heard about Grubhub. I know like DoorDash does that. There's competing delivered shit to your door. There's like DoorDash, Postmates, Grubhub.
Never heard of Postmates.
That might be groceries, but I think they also just do fast food stuff.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys that are Uber drivers now. Part-time.
Yeah.
I know how they've turned that into like gypsy cab. 'Cause
Yeah.
They don't want to give Uber all their money, so they'll be like in the area, decline the ride, and then go pick the guy up. It's for $10 less. Yeah, cool. I'm in. And then the guy will give them the $10 like as a tip. Yeah, they have a lot of problems with people doing shit like that. The guys I know that do it are like semi-retired, and they just do it for the stories.
Yeah.
Like because you meet some real psychopaths out there that need an Uber, especially in Ann Arbor. You got the weird foreigners that think Uber's like a cab. It's like, where's the whorehouse? I don't know. What the fuck are you talking? Don't all the cab drivers?
Well, also there's plenty of inebriated people that are responsibly Ubering around.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So-
See, around here they ran into some union troubles with Teamsters with that. So
Yeah.
it gets pretty ugly. You got to be. The guys don't have the Uber things in their cars as much because if you park downtown, that's a good way to. You leave that in there. That's a good way to find a rock through your window. Whatever you're doing.
I don't know.
Cabs around here aren't that expensive either, so I don't know what the difference is. Cause I've taken cabs before when I'm too drunk and it's $10. It's like, okay.
I remember I was at the schoolhouse, like whenever we'd have to take cab somewhere, it was just like a 20 spot everywhere, which doesn't seem bad if you're just going out once a week. But then like, oh, it's a 20 spot, you're transporting like 6 people. It's like, oh, that's not bad. But then like by the end of the week, it's like I spent $100 on cabs this month. Like this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, like I said, my cab use was mainly focused around inebriation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the point, it's like I'm so drunk I can't even find my keys. Cab drivers always have to take it. They're usually some chatty older guy. Like, I was a welder in a naval shipyards for 30 years. Tell you my stories. Okay, I'm just drunk. So come on,
I used an Uber once because I was out of car and I got dropped off at work, and then it was like a snowstorm and I Ubered home. So that was actually nice. I got picked up in a snowstorm.
yeah.
And then the guy gave me a bunch of tickets for like free Uber rides, but I never used it again.
Yeah, I never a lot of that modern stuff. I did discover something cool at Sam's Club now.
What's that?
You check out yourself with your phone. You just like you scan all the barcodes with your phone.
Oh, okay.
Walk up to the door with the thing, and the guy who checks you out just scans it, and then you get a notification from your bank like transaction complete with liquor. in there, it was like there was like 500 people online. Of course, they had 2 checkouts. Walmart does, and or Sam's or whoever, and they and the guy's like, "You ever use that U-Scan app?" I said, "No." He goes, "You're a member, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That's free." So I just like had all this stuff in my cart. It was just like, start scanning. Okay, and I put in my credit card number. It's like, "You're good to go. Just do it from anywhere in the store."
Because I know Amazon has those stores where you just walk it. You walk in, you grab whatever, and you walk out. You don't talk to anybody, and it just they have a bunch of cameras, and you have to have an app open, and basically like logs you in when you walk into the store. But
Yeah, our cafeteria is like that at work. You got like a little card, and basically you just tab and the door opens, whatever you get. But that's, our vending machine at work. There's a reason I have a giant lunch box, and that's because they're like airport prices, because it's the same company that does the airport. Got the $5 pop and shit. It's like, yeah, fuck your cafeteria. They do have nice sandwiches, but it's not worth like $12.
yeah,
Sit down and eat at lunch at work. We gotta beat the rats off with like a club. I did like it that the guys at work that figured out when we had the in the break area, they had the benches where you could sit at the table, like 2 benches and they chinked all the stuff out of that was holding them. They chinked all the mortar out, and they pulled one of the bricks out so they could reach in the back of the freezer and just grab stuff out. And that's like, what prison did they learn that? Accent. It's like, okay, good, yeah, that's good. Because they don't have anyone there watching those places.
the world's most boring Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, they had the brick loose, and the way they did it was they put it was like below the table so you couldn't see it, and they put like white out or something, like they matched it so it just looked like it was, the mortar was still there. And they did it because they couldn't figure out how people were stealing pop out of the back of the freezer. It's like you didn't see the dust all over the floor, but yeah, guys had like book bags full of pop and coffee. So they stole thousands of dollars. It's like, no, they stole about $50 worth of stuff, but by your prices, it was $1,000. Great country we live in.
It's only getting better, all the time.
No?
So did you hear? So here's some speculation, because they thought Trump might have had the coronavirus,
Yeah.
but that apparently it's negative.
Oh, did they come out and say it was negative? Last I heard, he was getting tests.
Yeah. Well, I've heard a couple things. I've heard tests, it's negative, but he's been in contact with other people since, and there hasn't been like another test.
Okay.
But do you think if that dude got the coronavirus and then survived it, would his poll numbers just skyrocket?
I don't know.
Like, could they just lie about it? He got it and got past it, and like that's the way he wins the next election.
People that are real staunch loyalists to him are so weird. I don't know which way that would go. Because most of the people I know that are Trump supporters are casual about it. They're just like, I'd vote for Republicans, and this was the Republican, so this is who I'm voting for. But those real diehard guys, where it's like a cult of personality, I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, things like this, because of course, the news is pointing out, justifiably in a lot of cases, sometimes with hyperbole, but a lot of times they're justified. Is like, oh, this guy, he's just making it worse. Everything he says, he's spreading misinformation, borderline conspiracy theories, everything else. This, anyone else that was acting in his mode, this would be ruinous for their presidency. Going to go into a recession, all this other, But with him, I don't know. It's such a weird Stalinist cult of personality with his believers. It's like, well, this is really Nancy Pelosi's fault. It's like, why? Because she's the chief of state? Last I checked, she wasn't. And or this is Obama and Hillary. You know, it's, I don't know. I mean, they're obviously not thinking. Just say you don't like black guys and women. Obama is sitting on a beach somewhere in Martha's Vineyard laughing his ass off. He's not plotting to overthrow the world. And Hillary, I don't know what she's just enjoying this failure. See, the thing is, only they see it as a failure. Like these people that are true believers, it's like this is just victory after victory. But you can't talk to them because you just get yelled at or told you're a fat cock or whatever. I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's that one Facebook quote. It's probably a lie, but it seems like what you expect of people or Trump believers. But it's like they're like in a college, and it was like one of those restrooms that are like genderless, you know, because they're trying to be, more accepting of people, and so they just like took a shit on the floor in the middle of it, and like Trump just keeps on winning.
Yeah, I will say the genderless bathrooms, I got a lot of that around here, and that's weird. When you're standing there taking a leak and some woman walks in to change your kid's diaper, I'm still kind of like, oh, what's going on here? Hold on. This is my area.
This is my filth.
I'm the danger here, but I still... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they would probably see that as a victory. I mean, there's a lot of people, there was some rally he was having. It's like, I'm still going, fuck coronavirus. And I was like, yeah, keep saying that. Go and spit in each other's mouths to celebrate your towards the coronavirus, please. Please.
We're gonna have corona orgies.
Yeah. We're gonna fuck the virus away. Trump and Jesus will lead us to salvation. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to. I mean, any other president, I'd say, well, this is it. That's a wrap for this presidency. This guy, I don't know. I mean, he was impeached clearly for doing something provably wrong. Now, the Senate wouldn't prosecute or remove him from office, of course, because Mitch and the boys were champions of tax cuts, and they didn't want to lose that. So, but you know, it's like this guy clearly did shit wrong. He was trying to extort the leader of another nation to get information on his opponent, an opponent who now he will probably be facing in the general election. So it's like, well, you did all that for nothing. You got your name drugged through the mud, but not in Trump world. This was a clear victory for him. It's like, no, he was shown that he was trying to extort the leader of another nation by withholding weapons, you know, to help to get information. And withholding weapons from people opposing the Russians is never a good move for Trump because everyone thinks he's a tool of the Russians anyway. But no, it's for somehow it all works out. But it's not because he's some Machiavellian genius. It's because the people that vote for him are fucking morons. Don't pay attention to anything. Or the stuff they do pay attention to. They'll have this elaborate flow chart in their living room about how George Soros, Bill Clinton had a baby and killed Queen Diana, and that gave us Obama. You know, they'll have all this convoluted shit. Then you get to know these guys in their lives. It's like they don't have relationships with their children. They hate their parents. It's like, well, you're just focusing way too much energy on the wrong shit. Oh, well, what do I know?
I found my hate conduit.
Yeah, I found to channel all this rage. I was gonna go shoot up the school, but shit, this does it for me. So yeah, it's hard to tell. I certainly gave up on. I thought I had predictive powers in politics until 2016. I always thought I generally knew the direction things were going to go. There's always going to be hiccups along the way, but no, this has been fucking wild, bad. It's not. None of it's ever been good. All provably, undeniably bad. But to like 40% of the population, they're either okay with it or they think they're winning somehow.
Well, when the stock market was just at unprecedented levels, but now that he doesn't even have that in his back pocket.
Well, that's because Obama. There's always reason.
Obama sneezed on an Asian man and started all this.
Yeah. Well, now he just looks bewildered. I mean, he did a presser today where he came out with no tie, baseball cap, looked like he hadn't slept in 4 days, wasn't really talking. That's why I think it's funny. People think, oh, Joe Biden's obviously senile. It's like the fucking guy you have as president is obviously something not right there. None of these people dissemble very well. I mean, Bernie Sanders does a good job. Barack Obama was always very coherent. Hillary was pretty coherent when she wasn't trying to lie about something. She did. But yeah, Joe Biden slips up a little bit. He's also older, and he's on a campaign tour. Trump is just up till at 4 a.m. in the morning eating a cheeseburger, screaming at Fox and Friends, coming out and giving a press con, and he's saying stuff that if he believes it, he's crazy, or he's just lying. But everyone's jumping.
Or he's just doing stream of consciousness until it ends.
Yeah, a lot of it with him is just and it's the thing with the Twitter. The people who work with him hate Twitter. They're like, oh man, I wish Jack Dorsey would sell that to someone, and they just throw him off Twitter. So, because it's like, not only do they have to try to run this kind of defective, fucked up government he's generated, but then they got to worry if he's going to either tweet out state secrets, threaten to fight someone. It's like, I'll pick up Nancy Pelosi and body slam her. It's like, what's he going to say next? Or just ask rhetorical questions like, what is rape? I mean, God knows what Trump would say. Start tweeting racial stuff, or just, what was my Trump race relations? They have the fake Trump Twitter generator.
Yeah.
You can put stuff in there that's really ridiculous, and it's like, but it'll sound like shit he actually said. It was like talking about saying the N-word, and it's like, okay, listen to me, people. And by people, he's talking to his people. It's like, don't say that word. That word's for those people. We have our words. But that sounds ridiculous. But that's the kind of shit he'll tweet out. Like, thinking it's like, wait, I got this solved. I got this. Sit down. I'll show you how it's done, and it'll be something just so obviously bad to even like just a high school graduate like me can see, like, oh God, that is not what you say, dude. But yeah, that Twitter, that one guy was probably having a nervous breakdown. He fucking quit. He'd get phone calls at 2 in the morning, like, what's he tweeting now? He just give out the launch codes? What's he doing? But everyone thinks Joe Biden's kind of like, he might be slightly senile. It's like, well, the guy you have is nuts. But okay, this is that unreality we have in this country. That bizarre disconnect. And then there's the people that were Trump supporters, but then they started to disagree with him on a few things, like publicly, like, well, I don't know, I don't think Donald's right about this, and all of a sudden they're like, he was always a double agent for Soros or something. Like any slight deviation, you're some kind of it's like, oh, he was a cut secret agent, whatever, and it's like, oh my God.
You either drink Kool-Aid or you don't.
Either die with us or die alone. Die because we're fucking stupid. And there's factions like that on some of the people that support Bernie Sanders are doing him no favors either. Like when they were walking around with that coffin at that Biden thing, it was supposed to be representative of Biden's political career, but considering like he just buried a kid 4 years ago, it's like, what's this whole coffin thing? Whatever message you're trying to get out, you're not sending the right one. And that's not the Sanders campaign didn't endorse that. Like that didn't have Bernie stickers on it. But it's like, that's a weird thing. Let's not have.
I just got through mortuary school and I wanted to apply my craft towards my political beliefs.
not do political stuff in America where we're carrying coffins around, because we kind of have a history here of just getting their heads blown off. No. Let's not do that. You're sending the wrong message. Let's talk about the issues.
Did they do that at debate yet?
No, I think they're doing it tonight or tomorrow. The empty
Okay.
room debate.
Yeah.
They're just going to bellow at each other. Or Bernie Sanders is going to start off sounding.
Will that be weird? Like if they have no like audience reaction to bounce off of, or will this be exactly the same as it always is? Because it's all like kind of like prepped.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure all the questions are going to be agreed to in advance. They're not gonna
Yeah,
be-
yeah.
Which is actually, everyone criticizes that, but if you're running a campaign, that's smart. Because you don't want the "when did you stop beating your wife" question. That's all it is. Everyone knows it.
Because like, well, I was trying to think of like the whole like Nixon JFK thing. Because like when they had that debate where Nixon was apparently sweaty, like that wasn't before an audience, right? And so like there's a lot of interpretations about who won that, but like the audience at home took away like completely differently.
There was an audience in the studio.
Okay.
They were polled, and it was a weirdly like diverse audience for that time. Like they went and got people from every group in the country, and then there was people at home. The people that heard the debate and the people that were in the studio said, "Well, Nixon clearly has a better grasp of policy than Kennedy."
Yeah.
People that watched it were like, "Well, Nixon looks sweaty. Looks like he's like in DT, like he's coming down off smack. He's not speaking unintelligently, but he doesn't look good. Kennedy, he looks good." So there was that divide there. If you heard it versus you saw it.
Because I was somewhat I can't remember it was one of the guys considered one of the worst presidents ever elected, and like they tried to figure out like why did we elect this guy, and it just came down to he was taller than the other candidate.
Oh, which one was that? Was that Buchanan or was that was the guy before Hoover?
Yeah, I think it might have been someone with a B, so yeah, it might have been him. So like wasn't that like one of the freakonomic things or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I've heard that. 'Cause I think it was Warren G. Harding. I think was the guy.
Okay.
Sound right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, because he was before Coolidge became president. Warren G. Harding was weird, so he didn't want to be president. He was kind of like an industrial magnate. It's like, well, would you do this for me? He's like, yeah, I guess. I don't really want to do this. It's a big pain in the ass. And then the guy he picked as vice president didn't want to be president either, Calvin Coolidge. They called him Silent Cal because he never spoke to the media or the public. And he's just like, get the hell away from me. I'm the president. I don't have to talk to people. Yeah, that was, I think that was Adam. Or maybe it was the guy before Lincoln. Somebody was like president and died in 2 weeks.
Oh, that was Garfield, wasn't it?
Was it? Something like that.
Yeah, Garfield was one who was like was dead within like the first year of his presidency.
We had a lot of weird presidents. After the founding fathers, it got strange. It got murky. We had some good ones like Theodore Roosevelt. And then the guy who was president during World War II.
FDR.
Oh, not World War II, World War I.
Oh,
Wilson?
I can't remember.
Why am I drawing a name? Because I can remember everything about him. He was the guy that was the. Yeah, it was Woodrow Wilson.
Okay.
He was the guy who was like the dean of Princeton. And then he got elected. He was considered like the super intellectual. He was also like a terrifying racist. But yeah, he was a good statesman. Yeah, they've elected some weird people like back then. I mean, we have weirdos now. But back then they had some real strange guys, that really openly corrupt people that were just, yeah, I'm El Presidente. I mean, that was one of the reasons, like, Teddy Roosevelt got elected. He was just so corrupt. It's like he stood against corruption, or at least he stood against the corruption that people didn't like. He didn't like the Irish mobs that ran New York and stuff. It's like, yeah, we don't like those people either. No, his kind of corruption is okay. Yeah, the presidency's a weird institution. But anyone who wants those jobs is strange. Like, I was reading a book a while back of, like, prime ministers of Great Britain. It just kind of highlighted some of the ones. It goes way back, but some of the more modern ones, like, yeah, there were some strange dudes that were prime minister. That's a job that can either last 2 weeks or 8 years. Like, I don't know. Depends on which way the
I was hoping for 2 weeks. I just wanted to get my name out there. It's like, oh no, 8 years later.
Yeah, they had some strange cats as prime ministers over there. I think Thatcher was one of the more bizarre ones when you really heard about her life. She's kind of a sad person, kind of a lonely person in a lot of ways. She's too smart for everyone in the room and also had a lot of bad ideas. It's like, no one likes me either way. I'm either smarter than them and it's intimidating, or they know how bad my ideas are.
Well, and her and Reagan together. It's
It's the best of both worlds. She was literally like Attila the Hun. I mean, see, the weird thing about, like, her when she was the prime minister is she was kind of our gateway to Europe in a lot of ways, but she also, if she had had more power, it would have been really bad for the world. She would have done things that were really terrifying if she could have got away with it. Reagan was kind of like a silent partner in a lot of stuff. Because Reagan, everyone talks about him winning the Cold War, but really, he invaded Grenada and bombed Libya. Those were the most overtly violent things he did. Thatcher wanted to, like, she wanted to expand NATO and really do.
When did she invade the Falkland Islands and that was all weird?
No, well, the Falkland Islands were part of the British Empire, and Argentina just showed up like, we're taking these back. And she's like, no, you're not. And then she got together with her. Because see, you got to remember, at that time in England, they'd just come out of the 70s was a huge recession.
Yeah.
And, like, she's like, well, we're going to fight these guys. We're this third world country. We can beat these people. And some of her admirals and planners were like, well, things are kind of shabby. They're not as good as what we say they are. And it's like, what do you mean? She's like, we can't beat these guys? It's like, well, we don't want to kill a lot of people. We can't afford to get involved in a pitched war. And, yeah, that got weird with her and Reagan
because I think they made like a documentary or a book about it. The title's rememberable because it's, instead of Falkland, it's just called Fuckland, but they bleep out the F word part.
It was weird because I think Schultz went to her, like, and he was kind of like, she was like, are you speaking for the president? Are you telling me I can't do what the hell I want to with the British Empire? And he's just like, well, we need to back down on some of this. So it kind of put a rift between her and Reagan for a while because we didn't want that war. It's like, what are they fighting for again? Where? Wasn't this all settled after World War II when they just were going to contract as an empire? Especially after that ship got sunk and a bunch of people died. It's like, oh, shit. But they ended up winning. Still there.
I guess this is a weird thing about the coronavirus is, like, are there just a bunch of ships stranded at sea because they won't let them dock in because they have people sick on board?
Oh, the cruise ships?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's some. I don't know all the details.
So I've heard some people say, like, this is the end of the cruise ship industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember, like, 4 years ago, I got really sick. Because we get all the people up here, it's like, oh, it's cold. I'm going to go on a cruise. And they come back with norovirus, which just makes you crap your guts out. It's terrifying. You think you have cholera or something, like really bad but it only lasts for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Which basically just housebound for 3 days, unless you're carrying a toilet with you. And yeah, we get that here, and that's all from the cruise ships.
Yeah.
Because they're just floating toilets. They're just ecosystems that, you know, any disease that's coming on this ship, everyone's getting it because you're all breathing the same air. You're all farting at each other. You're packed on this thing. And yeah, so that industry's dead.
I remember like this year they had the Jericho cruise, where they had the wrestling on the cruise ship, and yeah, of course, and everyone had a fantastic time. But then also like half the people got sick, and this is like 2 months ago, and Dave Meltzer still has a cough from that cruise ship.
Yeah. They're terrifying. It's bad. That norovirus almost wiped them out. Because remember when Disney started their cruise lines?
Yeah.
They got hit with that real bad. And because it's just like the Disney princess, they made funny cartoons of like instead of the 2 smokestacks, it was just 2 big rolls of toilet paper. it was, and you can't keep that stuff off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got cruises and vacations and stuff like that. I never spent the money to do that. I guess it's nice, but just not interested. I've been self quarantining for the last 15 years.
All my life has led to this moment. I'm here to be a star. Here to lead the way.
This is the quarantine podcast. It's like one of the guys in the model club had something funny on Facebook. Just a picture of a room, floor to ceiling with models and a big desk. It's like, don't panic. We've been preparing for this for years. It's our time now. The time of the isolated. Only the isolated will live to see the future. Everyone else has got to socialize. Fuck that. How many hours are you pulling at Walmart?
Oh, same ones. I mean, I guess I could get overtime if I wanted, but I don't want to stay there longer than I have to.
Yeah,
And not necessarily because like I'm afraid of getting a disease. It's just I don't want to fucking be there.
yeah, especially I don't even work overtime at my job. I mean, usually because they don't offer it like in hours that make sense to me. It's like, hey, you want to stay and work overtime after working a 10.5-hour shift? Yeah, how long you need? 4 hours? No, I need you to work another shift. Oh, you need 20 hours. Then come back in the next day. So just, yeah, fuck you. I wonder what OSHA would think. I don't want to go down this road. That's all I have for this week. Have anything else?
Sure, plenty, but I've forgotten all about it.
Most of it. Well, it's that.
But watch Drive to Survive if you can, if you're up for it. And then maybe check out Medical Police.
Yeah, I might check. Where do you see Medical Police?
That's on Netflix.
Netflix too.
Okay.
All right.
A lot of good stuff on Netflix recently. I've almost completely past Altered Carbon. I'll probably get back to that at some point, but I'm completely off of Picard. I didn't mean to, but I just I've just heard all the enthusiasm drain out of it, so I just haven't even bothered to get back to it.
You're still doing it, but just out as a sense of duty.
Yeah.
Just out of loyalty to the memory of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah. Castlevania came out. And that new season, just Netflix, they literally came out with 3 seasons. Three different shows came out that I wanted to watch in 1 week. And then every week since they've added something well, I want to watch that too. Jesus fucking Christ.
You know why that is, don't you?
No.
They started coronavirus. It's just part of the plan. Well, anyway, this week for the American Read Factory podcast, this is Nathan.
This is Conlon. Goodbye, America.